Welcome back, all of my hooligans. Ryan here. Thank you for joining me once again and hanging out for another Slot Cars and Chill episode, number 2, with today's feature car, the BMW M4 GT3, the Schubert Motorsport version here. I've seen this car on YouTube. It looks amazing. I'm talking the real car, not other slot car videos of this. The real car looks amazing. It looks wicked, and this car is such a good representation of it. I have to say Carrera has nailed this one. So if you guys saw the short video, this was still sealed up in the package. My wife and I had purchased this for a good friend of ours who we invited over to have an afternoon and race. And I don't believe he ever had any experiences with a Carrera track, a 132 or a 124 scale car. So I thought it would be super cool for him to have his own car. He did really like the M4 GT3s. So we decided to go with this one. And the reason for that is because, you know, when you first come over to somebody else's house or you know, you're racing on somebody else's track and you're borrowing their cars, you get self-conscious, you know, a lot of people do. And you're worried about bashing them up or you know, driving them too hard, etc. So I wanted him to fully be able to experience what slot cars have to offer now. And we had a blast. My wife is a vehicular murderer as always, so she was bashing us off the track and you know, it was just chaos. And it was just super fun. One of the funnest days I've had in a long time. And, you know, trying to bring other people into the slot car world the best that I can. So sorry for the rant here, but another thing, this car just reminds me of Darth Vader. I love it. I can see the little helmet on with his red lightsaber. So maybe that'll be the nickname. This will be Vader. So we have to get Vader off of the platform and get a baseline, of course, for this car first. And then we're going to do some basic tuning and just see where we end up from there. See how much we can improve our lap time. So without further ado, let's get it off the platform here and get it on the track. Okay, so let's see what the untuned version out of the box will do. Let's see what lap time we can get, and then we will do some basic tuning to this car and see how much time we can shave off of our best lap time. All right, not bad at all. We get a 9.478 for the fastest lap time. I think that was the second lap there. So let's get this thing apart and do some basic tuning to it, and then we'll see if we can shave any time off of our best here. All right, let's get the body off this thing. But before I do, how many of you guys have gotten newer Carreras and have had a crack in the chassis from the over-tightening or even like cross-threading of that retaining screw? I'm just curious. It seems like it's happened twice so far. It was actually on the Mustang GT3 that I did recently, and then of course this car. So I put a little bit of super glue there, of course, once I got it to sit pretty flush so it doesn't spread further. But just out of curiosity, if any of you have experienced that or not, or if I've just gotten kind of two oddities here recently. But anyway, let's get these screws out of here and get the body off the chassis. I'm not a club racer like I've stated before, and I don't really get into trimming the chassis and stuff all that much, but I think this model would especially benefit from it. If you guys can see that, where the rear diffuser where the rear diffuser meets the rear bumper, if you will, it is very, very tight, and the entire car, when you put it back together, is quite tight. So I think this car, if any of them, would benefit a little bit by trimming the outer edges of the chassis around at least these three sides of the car would be very beneficial for it. And you know, you could achieve some body flow, of course, if you're aiming for that as well. All right, I think where we're going to start is at the motor. We're just going to put some hot glue down along here on each side at the base of it. Also, just quickly pop the rear axle out of here so I could lift this wire up a little bit easier to get access in there to run a bead of super glue, or hot glue rather, down along the side of the engine on that side. So I'm just in here kind of brushing off some of the debris before we get in there as well. All right, let's see if we can get in here and keep this as neat as possible. It looks pretty good to me. Now on to the other side. All right, and again, doing this, if anybody's new to this in general, it's just acting as a solid motor mount, so your motor isn't torquing in the chassis, so it can put down the power or the voltage more efficiently. So just makes everything smoother and a little quicker to respond. All right, we can tuck this wire back in its place before we forget. And that looks pretty good. It'll be out of the way of the axle and the bushings there. Let's pop this front axle out as well. I already have the rear removed from the car, of course. And we're going to get these bushings running a little bit smoother on the axles here. So let's finagle them out from underneath these wires without pulling too much out here. This one's a pretty tight loom, so it's fighting me a little bit there, but there we go. Just as a side note too, it's always good to check the rims, of course, and make sure there's no gnarly pieces of plastic or anything like that, any rough edges, I guess, mountains or peaks around the circumference of the rim. So it's always good to sand these down a bit too and try to make them as round as possible so it keeps the car as flat and planted as possible on the track surface as you can. Just a little bit of 800 grit sandpaper here, and then I usually finish it off a little bit finer. And those bushings are now flying, as you guys can see probably, so I think we're in business. And now the other side. And just a quick hit here with the 2000 grit as well while we're in here. Give it a quick clean. And when it sounds like click clacks, you got a pretty polished axle there. Okay, we fish this front axle back through. Let's pop it into place. And then pop the rear axle back into place with the crown gear on the right of the pinion there. And we'll grease everything back up. pretty good there. And then we will oil the axle bearings back up. Let's true the tires up before we pop the body back on it and then get some times around the track and see how much we've improved. And once again, my alternative tire truing station. It's not perfect, but it does the job. It is finally time to put the chassis back on and see how much time we can shave off with the basic tune we did to the car. So let's see how much of an improvement we get. All right, we got our basic tuning done, so now is the time to see how much we can improve here. Can we get into the 8s? The time we have to beat is a 9.478. Let's see how we get on, guys.
3, 2, 1, go!
Best lap time by Brian.
I'm very pleased to say we beat our target. I wanted to get into the 8s, so we ran an 8.840, which I'm very, very satisfied with. This was a heavier Carrera. I don't think quite as heavy as the Mustang, but it is up there. So it ran very, very well with some just minor modifications, basic tuning that anybody can do, with things that you have at home probably already. So yes, I could have got into a little bit more in depth. I could have done a few more things, but again, this is not my car personally. I want to leave that to my friend if he wants to further modify that to get a little bit more time out of it. But once again, very respectable time. The BMW M4 GT3 8.840. Thanks for joining in, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll hang out again. I'll have more coming up for you. Until then, save the hooliganism for the track, and I'll catch you in the next one. As you can see, it is tied for the 5th fastest lap time on our leaderboard with the slotted Toyota 88C. Not bad, guys, not bad at all. 6 thousandths or so of a second we shaved off by basic tuning. And you can see the original time right there of 9.478.